ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामवित्र्यवतु गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ यश्छन्दसां वृषभो विश्वरूपः छन्दोभ्योऽध्यमृतात् सम्बभूव समेन्द्रो मेधया स्पृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासम् शरीरं मे विचर्षणम् जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा कर्णाभ्यां भूरिविश्रुवम् ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पिहितः श्रुतं मे गोपाय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः मेधा देवी जुषमाणा न आगाद्विश्वाची भद्रा सुमनस्य माना त्वया जुष्टानुगमाना दुरुक्तान् बृहद्वदेम विदधे सुवीराः त्वया जुष्ट ऋषिर्भवति देवी त्वया ब्रह्मा गतः श्रीरुतत्वया त्वया जुष्टश्चित्रं विन्दते वसुसानो जुषस्वत्र विनो न मेधे मेधां महीन्द्रो ददातु मेधां देवी सरस्वती मेधां मे अश्विनावुभावा धत्तां पुष्करस्रजा अप्सरासु च या मेधा गन्धर्वेषु च यन्मनः दैवीं मेधा सरस्वती सा मां मेधा सुरभिर्जुषत स्वाहा आमा मेधा सुरभिर्विश्वरूपा हिरण्यवर्णा जगति जगम्या ऊर्जस्वती पयसा बिन्वमाना सा मां मेधा सुप्रतीकाजुषन्ताम् मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मय्यग्निस्तेजो दधातु मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मयीन्द्र इन्द्रियं दधातु मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मयि सूर्यो भ्राजो दधातु हंस हंसाय विद्महे परमहंसाय धीमहि तन्नो हंसः प्रचोदयात् ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात् स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम् समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Ekadantaya Vidmahe Vakratundaya Dhimahi Tanno Danteh Prachodayat Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sri Sai Ram. I offer our loving pranams at the lotus feet of our most beloved Lord Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. It is indeed a matter of great blessing, pleasure, joy, and honor for me once again to invite all of you for this 19th episode of the lecture series under Gama ãgama program of Sri Sathya Sai Samyukta Shruti Shreni, which is a part of Sri Sathya Sai Seva organization. Today, we have with us yet another devout soul, Dr. Hari Prasad Varma, to address us on the topic, the Vedas, the foundation of Indian culture and spirituality. Few words about Dr. Shri Hari Prasad Varma. Dr. Hari Prasad Varma is an alumnus of Balvikas and he belongs to the family of ardent devotees of Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. He has chanted Vedas and enacted dramas in the divine presence at Sai Kulwant Hall on many occasions and have been blessed by Bhagawan. He is a multifaceted personality who brings in Vedam, dramatics, strong academics, and great oratory skills. He is blessed and endowed with the rare combination of both spiritual education as well as secular education. He studied the entire Samhita of Krishna Yajurveda Taitriya Shakha along with his Master of Business Administration, Master of Philosophy and Doctor of Philosophy programs on management studies, apart from having masters in multiple other disciplines. He looks after the Veda Poshana service activities of the Sathya Sai Seva organization in the state of Andhra Pradesh. He hails from the temple town of Tirupati and works as a senior executive in the Government of India enterprise. Today, we will have the opportunity of listening to him from his most precious learnings at Bhagwan's lotus feet in his service. Over to Sri Dr. Hari Prasad Varma Garu. Sai Ram.
श्रुतं मे गोपाय
ओम श्री साई राम। देवद्विज कुलो धरते सच्चिदानंद रूपिणे धर्मस्थापन दक्षाय नमस्ते सत्य साईने। अवतारो महाशक्ते धर्म संस्थापनाय हि वंदारु जन मंदारः प्रेमरत्नाकरो मृतः सत्याशी सत्य संकल्पः सत्यवाक्यो दृढ़व्रतः भगवान सत्य साईशा बाबा नामना श्रुतो भुवि अवतीर्णो दृढ़ प्रज्ञा सच्चिदानंद विग्रह वेद संरक्षण द्वारा लोक कल्याण हेतवे सर्वभूत शुभाकांक्षी प्रशांति निलयेश्वरः सर्वदः सर्वदास्माकं येषणोत्विष्ट कामधुक् वेद शिव शिवो वेदः निगमागमान्ते शिवः आराध्ये सर्वदेवानां ऋषीणां परिकल्पितं करारविन्देन पदारविन्दं मुखारविन्देन विनिवेशयन्तं वटस्य पत्रस्य पुटे शयानं बालं मुकुन्दं मनसा स्मरामि. I offer my humble pranams at the lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagavan, Sri Sathya Sai Baba, the verily the Veda Swarupa, Vedodharaka and Veda Poshana. At the outset, I feel it a great privilege and blessing to be associated with this prestigious and pious lecture series of Vedic knowledge, namely Gama Agama. In today's world, we find various organizations, institutes and ashrams, gurukulams, various mandirs and many dedicated souls. Pious persons are striving hard to keep the Vedic verses alive and are trying to propagate in one way or other. I have seen various dharmic temple administrations. Those are encouraging students of particular sect to learn and become experts in Vedic verses and traditions. I pay my humble respects to all those who are propagating and trying to safeguard the Vedas in its true sense. The Veda emanated from God Himself as inhalation and exhalation. The Vedic sages, who were the embodiments of treasure, gained by long ascetic practices, received Veda as a series of sounds and spread it over the world by word of mouth from preceptor to disciple. Since it was heard and preserved by generations, the Veda is known as Shruti, that was heard or listened to. The Veda is endless. No one say correctly the beginning or its end. So it is hailed as Anadi, beginningless, and Sanatana, it is eternal. Since the first and the last of the Veda are not known, it is Nitya, everlasting. So the Veda is also characterized as Apaurusheya, non-personal. The Veda in its own authority, it is having its own authority. Here we need not say for certain things it is scientifically proven. What science? Those things were unexplained in science were explained with examples in Vedic philosophy. Swami says and declares, where science ends, there spirituality begins. In the earlier times, people followed the sectorial dharma. With utmost sacrifice, dedicated their lives to Sanatana Dharma, following and preaching. In today's time, we can hardly find the parampara, the legacy. One great scholar may not promote his son in the similar line, and in due course of time, those who were proficient in Vedic studies become countable in fingers all around them. In order to keep the Veda Dharma in life and practice, Swami, the Kali Yuga Avatara, has declared his Avatara is meant for Veda Samrakshana and Veda Poshana, keeping his guidelines as a direction, a rule, Sri Satya Sai Seva organizations is taking various measures in spreading the Vedic verses and Veda Dharma in one way or other. However, here I would like to say one thing which is more important to think logically. As the saying goes, Dharmo Rakshate Rakshitaha, mean if one protects Dharma, Dharma in turn protect oneself. What I feel is we are only trying to follow Dharma, not protecting. We are not safeguarding the Dharma, but trying to follow it. Nashreyo niyamam vina. One cannot attain safety without following the niyama, code of conduct, or a principle, or a rule. See, while we walk on road or driving any vehicle, we follow traffic signal lights and set off traffic rules. They are meant for safety of pedestrians and vehicle riders. If you follow, we remain in safe. If we won't follow, penalty will be levied by the traffic police, or a person can meet with an accident by violating the traffic rules. What does it mean? If you follow Dharma, a rule, you will be protected. Same thing holds good in terms of Sanatana Dharma. See, one person is working in any firm or a company is abiding by the rules and regulations of that particular firm or company. One is residing in any country, have to follow the rules and regulations of that particular country. In the same way, a person born as a human being is bound by the rules and regulations ascertained in the Vedic texts. If you follow Dharma, you will be protected by the Dharma. We are not Veda Rakshakas. We are the followers of Veda or Dharma. We are not protecting Dharma. Veda protector is verily the Lord, our Bhagavan, Sri Satya Sai Baba. Here, there are two categories of knowledge, declares the Rishi of Mundaka Upanishad, knowledge of the world and the knowledge of the inner world. That means material knowledge is a Aparavidya and spiritual knowledge is a Paravidya. Apara and Para. The same thing has again been taken up in the Chandogya Upanishad by says Narada Muni and Shanat Kumara. In fact, both ought to be acquired and both are equally important, Para and Apara, nor are they mutually exclusive. One is incomplete without the other. This has been very strongly emphasized in Ishavasyopanishad. I think it is in Ishavasyopanishad. The higher, the Para, and the lower knowledge, Apara, are the knowledge of the spirit and the knowledge of the matter. Both ought to be acquired. So, say those who know Brahman, Supreme, declared this, says Angirasa to Saunaka when the latter approached him as a disciple. All the Vedas, grammar, philosophy, astronomy, astrology, and all such knowledge falls in the category of Aparavidya, lower learning. That knowledge by which Brahman, Supreme Soul, is known, that by which the unseen and the unknown, the one eternal, all-pervasive being is known, is the Para, or higher learning. Usually, people think that Veda is a treasure of knowledge. Ananta vai Vedaha. It is infinite, immeasurable. Vedo nityamadhiyatam taduditam karmasvanushthiyatam. The verses of Vedas are to be studied or chanted regularly. Not only mere chanting holds good all the time. Practicing the Vedic hymns in day-to-day life fulfills this true sense of Vedic verses. In Taitriya Upanishad, preceptor gives Adesha, instruction to disciple to observe Matrudevo Bhava, Pitrudevo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atididevo Bhava. What does it mean? Every day you have to revere your mother, father, preceptor, and guest as God, Acharya. No particular day is specified to offer your respects to your father or a mother or your guru or Atidi. There were no Mother's Days or Father's Days. Every day we have to obey our parents. Swami says, parents means what? Pay rent. We have to pay the rent to our father, mother, which is no way a kind act. It is supposed to be followed. If a person occupied a house for his shelter on rental basis and paying rent is not an act of kindness towards the owner of the house. He is supposed to pay the rent. After all, he occupied the owner's house for shelter. Same thing holds good when a person extends his courtesy and respects his mother and father. Obeying parents is a duty of the children. It is not a great deed. If he doesn't follow that act, it is a sin. If he follows, it is a duty of a son towards his parent. Why Vedas are to be taught to everyone, and what Swami says about Veda Poshana, and why these Vedas are to be fostered and propagated. Swami says, be fearless in propagating Vedas. The Veda lays down what has to be done and what should not be done. Vihita dharma and avihita dharma. Krita akritya, what is supposed to do and what not. When these prescriptions and prohibitions are followed, one can earn the good and avoid the bad. Veda is concerned with both the material and the spiritual, both this world and the world beyond. All life is Veda filled. Swami says, be fearless in propagating the Vedas. Every individual should take a pledge to nourish the Vedas on the right lines. The welfare of the nation and the prosperity of the world are dependent on Vedas. Within the next 10 or 20 years, Swami says, even the few who possess the Vedic knowledge may not remain. Hence, there is an urgent need to take concerted measures to provide the resources and the encouragement for the propagation of Vedic studies. The Vedas are not to be used as a means of earning a livelihood. The Vedas are a means of establishing a link with the divine. Those who have studied the Vedas must dedicate their lives to promote them. Na karmana na prajaya dhane na tyage neke amrutatva manashuhu. One will attain immortality by sacrifice, not merely by observing various sacred deeds, prosody, pompous, or by acquiring the wealth. The chanting of mantras should always be synchronized with practicing the prescribed teaching, that is karma. By such a practice alone, one can realize the divine. Merely listening the mantras and failing to practice the teachings will never confer happiness or peace. This is said by Swami. Here I would like to emphasize on impact of chanting the verses, the Vedic verses, how the impact will be. We usually have chanting of mantras for many times. Say for example Rudram for Ekavaram or Ekadashavaram, one time or 11 times, like that. The impact of Vedic chanting can be understood at 3 to 4 different levels, I think. I will explain it. Level of sound. Every mantra has its own sound vibration and a resonance pattern. Correct pronunciation and proper intonation of the chant generates the resonance pattern that benefits the body, mind, emotions, and intellect of the chanter. Each cell of the person at the body, mind, and emotion and intellect levels is refined, recharged, or regenerated. Thus, even if the meaning is not understood, chanting and listening to Vedic chants creates a sound vibrations that influence us totally, our body, mind, and emotions, head, heart, and hands. When this natural rhythm and harmony is disrupted in the body, diseases and disorders arise. In addition to the person who chants, Vedic chanting has a beneficial impact on the listeners, the place, and the entire environment. Recently, Sri Sathya Sai Veda Poshana conducted certain programs wherein chanting of specific mantras for continuous 12 hours or 24 hours or 96 hours, like that. It is meant for the welfare of the entire universe. These sacred sounds have entered our hearts and purify them. Don't think that the mantras chanted in this house or a mandir are confined to those places only. They have spread to the entire world. Shabda Brahmamayi Characharamayi Jyotirmayi Vangmayi Nityanandamayi Paratparamayi Mayamayi Shrimayi Tatvatitamayi Paratparamayi Sarvaishwaryamayi Sadashivamayi Mampahi Saishwari. Swami says in one occasion that Vedas lift the individual to higher levels. The subtle effect of mantras mentioned in the Vedas cannot be seen or heard by the senses. They have to be experienced in and through the inner consciousness. Even if one is unable to chant the Veda, listening to the sounds and vibrations emanating from the mantras have its own effect on the individuals. The hymns of the Vedas constitute the cosmic sound, which is highly potent. See, one doctor prescribes medicine for a patient in order to reduce the intensity or to get relief from ailment. The combination and composition of medicines, that is ingredients in that medicine, that is in a pill or an injection, whatever it may be, need not know for the patient, a sufferer. He has to consume that medicine. In the same way, listeners can enjoy the rhythm of Vedic verses, though they are not understanding the true meaning in detail. It is everybody's knowledge. We go for certain musical concerts where musicians sing various songs under various Shruti, Raga, Tala, etc. Layman may not have any idea but enjoy the rhythm just by hearing and following. Same thing holds good in terms of Vedic verses. But the musician in this context must know about all the Raga, Tala, etc. Along with he or she should connect to Lord with complete surrenderness while singing. Then only it is totally complete. It attains Purnatvam. The same way, the doctor should also know what is to be prescribed with the contents, compositions, and ingredients of the medicine. All chanters, aspirants of Vedic mantras, should keep themselves open to learn Veda with the complete meaning, bhava, and chant as an offering to the Lord. Not merely chanting for 11 times or 24 times like that, a particular number of times. It makes okay, it is good, adhikas sadhika phalam. But the vibration must have its impact all around. See, if we keep an incense stick in our puja mandir or somewhere in your house, the fragrance will spread the house, entire house, subject to the purity of the incense stick. Here, I recollect one incident that took place in the war during the time of Ramayana. It is everybody's knowledge that Lakshmana Swami, the Virali Avatara of Adishesha, accompanied Lord Sri Rama in the war. He got fainted in the due course of war. For his recovery from the ailment, Sanjeevani and Voshadi is to be applied. Hanuma went to bring the Voshadi. Unable to find it among various Voshadis and not interested to waste the time in finding out which one is right one, he being a Balavan, Buddhiman, brought the entire hillock to the warfield. As soon as the Voshadi, that's Voshadi, named Sanjeevani, brought near to Lakshmana and applied, he recovered from faintness. Here one thing we have to think, just with the smell and fragrance of the Voshadi, one may recover from faintness. If at all that is the case, those who were fallen sick or fainted but not died in the war at that moment, at that particular moment, should also recover from their ailment. Is it not? Yes, it was happened. So many along with the Lakshmana recovered from faintness who were all in the army of Sugriva. Why there is any partiality for that Voshadi? No. In the battlefield, both army have badly affected. Then the soldiers got affected from Ravana's army should also be recovered. But what Ravana did is, he ordered that as soon as the soldier got fainted or injured badly or died, or to be thrown away in the nearest sea, as opponent party should not aware of the count how many were died in that army. Vashadi's impact is like that. Then mantra's impact is more than that. Here I would like to focus the level of meaning. What is the impact? Once we learn the chants, once we learn the Vedic verses and chants, it is important to go deeper and understand the meaning. Otherwise, after a while, chanting can become automatic, and that gives scope for the mind to wander here and there. By focusing on the meaning, our concentration is retained, and it also helps us to develop the inner feelings of love and unity that are enshrined in all of the Vedas. By having access to the meanings, even those who find learning Sanskrit words difficult can enjoy the sweet essence of the Vedas. As we chant the mantras repeatedly, we begin to understand the different nuances of their meaning. This then becomes akin to meditation also. Swami says here, I would like to recollect, those who utter mantras today do not grasp their inner meaning. That is what Swami said. Even if the full meaning of a single mantra is understood, it will be sufficient. Here, one may can raise a doubt that what is it that in spite of the fact all over the years there were many who recited the Vedas and carried on Vedic practices, no commensurate results were achieved. It is because though many were proficient in reciting the Vedic mantras, few of them understood their inner meaning, sacredness and potency. Once there were two Maharshis. Here I would like to quote one example. I use it to explain whenever I explain about the Vedic systems. I used to quote this example. Once there were two Maharshis, namely Drumeda and Paruchepa. Both were equally learnt Veda and are perfect in reciting the same. However, they were indulged in one debate to find out who is superior in between them. Samhita mantras were very prominent and discussion going on in both of them, and they put a challenge who is able to ignite fire in the wet wood. Both are having good knowledge in reciting the Samhita mantras. Both chanted well, no doubt. But Drumeda, a rishi, failed to ignite fire, but Paruchepa succeeded. Then with folded hands, with humbleness, Drumeda asked Paruchepa how he got succeeded in igniting the fire in the wet wood, despite both learned Veda under one guru and both are companions. The Paruchepa said, though both are having the knowledge of the verses and its inner meaning in rigs of Samhita mantras are in the Rigveda, in which pada Grita Shabda is being there, that is to be visualized. Thereby, the Grita Pada becomes vibrant, becomes alive, and made the wet wood into fire by ignition. Just by chanting or ever knowing meaning is not sufficient, but visualization of the padas, where chanting with a true sense gives rise to the life, to the mantra in action. Mere chanting of the mantras without keeping their meaning, it is a saying goes that a horse carrying a load of sandalwood pieces on its back without experiencing their fragrance. Today, like that horse, so many people are carrying the load of the mantras without experiencing the fragrance of their inner meaning. If we are able to know the meaning, we will be able to visualize the form behind the particular mantra. One has to chant the Veda mantras at least by knowing a little of their meaning. Chanting with focus on the meaning, this calms and clears the mind and actually regenerates it. You might notice that sometimes your mind is much clearer and your attention is more focused after chanting. Every word that we utter and every thought that we think leaves its subtle impression on the mind. And so do all the words and sounds that we listen to and absorb. Everything that we listen is also leaves its residue in the mind. This is what Swami says. We have n number of examples quoted in Rig Veda, Yajurveda, both in Shukla and Krishna Shakas and Samaveda. In Rig Veda, it is said that certain things which were unable to fulfill with the complete attempts and efforts of the mankind can be done just by chanting of the mantras. Just by chanting of the mantras. It is common belief that Shiva is Abhisheka Priya, Vishnu is Alankara Priya, Aditya Namaskara Priya. The sun god is fond of Namaskara. Ancient sages, what so called mantra drashtas, visualized the divine form in the mantra, succeeded in getting relief from certain diseases which a man could not do by using any kind of medicine to maximum extent. Maharshi Praskanva visualized 3 mantras and succeeded in get rid of from a chronic skin disease. Those 3 rigs were famous in the name of Tirupati. It is famous in India and so many Vedic Pandits are well known about these Tirupati mantras. Not only that, in the Vedic verses, there is a poetic beauty we can find. The alankaras, that means grammar, upama alankara, like that. Na? I will quote and I will give a brief note about the alankaras. Upama alankara is there. Upama alankara. It is alankara means a simile. That is the bija, a root to all the alankaras. This is the grammar part. All other alankaras were originated from this is a common opinion. In this alankara, the comparison is being made with an attribute existing at root of another object. Sanappideva sunavegne supayeno bhava sacha swaha swasthaye. Here asking Agnideva to do good for his son and take care of us in the way a father protects the son. Here the comparison of sun god as a father to mankind. In another context, Kutsa Maharshi, a Maharshi in the name of Kutsa, in his Surya Stuti in Rigveda, Suryo Devi Mushasam Rochamanam Suryo Nayopam Bheti Paschat. Here the rising of sun god seems to be hunting a Ushassu. As soon as the sun god appears in the east direction, Ushassu follows. It seems to be sun is following Ushassu. The comparison here is like a what we call Rasika Priya follows a beautiful girl without any interruption. Surya follows Ushassu. In the Vedika Sahitya, the letter Na is used as a Upavachaka, but in modern philosophy and poetry, I learned that it is disappearing in usage. In the 5th Kanda of Rigveda, I think, I am correct, I think. One suktam is there, wherein a sage named Saptavadri, he made prayers to Ashwini Devatas for his rescue from evil demoned cousins and blessed with a male child. Brotherly related people with the evil tendency have put Saptavadri in a big box and refraining him to meet his wife during night and during daytime they used to beat him. Saptavadri, being a mantra drashta, prayed Ashwini Devatas. In turn, Ashwini Devatas appeared, relieved Saptavadri from the clutches and made arrangement to meet his wife. Later he blessed with a boy child. Here also one comparison appears in the mantra. Yatha bhata pushkarini samingayati sarvataha yavate garbha yajato nirato dashamasyaha. Here the womb of a pregnant woman is compared as Pushkarini, and a Padma, a lotus, appears from the pond. A boy appears, a child appears from the womb of a mother after 10 months in safe journey from the mother's womb. Like that we are having Atishayukti, hyperbola. In Vedic verses, We can see Rigveda mantras, Atishayokti means Utkarsha. Like that we have having a hyperbola and Rupakam metaphor, Utpreksha, that is potential fancy. And we are having corroboration. Corroboration means Ardhantaranyasam. That means all these are the Alankara part. Vitarekam, contrast or perenity. In this Alankara, identicality of two things is explained and the opposite attribute is in comparison of the same is being explained. Mura amura na vayam chikitvo mahattamagge mahattam agne tvamangaditse. O Mahagnani, O embodiment of wisdom, O Agni, we are unable to know your significance because we are mudhas. We are innocents, having no knowledge. You only know about you. You only know about yourself. None other than you know about you. That means a contrast perenity is being used in this context by praising the attributes of Agni. Like that in the Vedic verses we have very good poetical origination, Alankaras. And sometimes we observe Ekadash Rudra Parayana, chanting of Sri Rudranamakam for 11 times with the chanting of Chamakam for once, like that. After the completion of 4 to 5 rounds, Avartanas, we often see the time and inquire how many times that we completed and how far we have to chant and what's the time now. More focus on completion rather than on the mantra and its inner meaning. No doubt, Adhikasya Adhikaphalam, as I mentioned earlier, doing much in quantity derive much gain. Japastadhartha bhavanam. Mere chanting for number of times is okay, but feeling and enjoying the meaning and chanting is the real sense of chanting the mantra. Whatever it may be, it gives total result. Knowing the meaning and chanting with feel gives more result, a complete result. Now I just want to focus on the level of feeling, what is the impact at the level of feelings. Bhagavan, Swami used to say many a time, God is Bhavapriya, not Bahyapriya. He bothers about your feelings and intentions behind your actions. He never merely satisfied with the actions. Every kind of emotion causes a different set of vibrations in our body, both gross and subtle level. These are evident from actual experience. Mental peace produces a certain composure in the face. Similarly, passion, anger get reflected in the face. Face is the index of mind. As we comprehend the meaning and focus on the chanting, our heart joins in and lifts us to greater heights of joy and bliss. Is it not? Swami says, God is moved by feelings. Thus, when we chant with the feeling after understanding the meaning of the words in the chanting births us in its purifying sounds and open our hearts. Thus, Vedic chanting stimulates the body cells when we focus on the meaning. A chanting nourishes the intellect. And when we chant with the feeling, our emotions are revitalized. Thought, word and deed, head, heart and hand. When all the three combine, its impact can be felt on all aspects of our lives and on the people around us. Swami on one occasion says, Vedas are not to be analyzed, commented upon and judged. This is the reason why Vedas are called Shruti, that which is heard. Through listening to its recital alone, the awareness of the self and of the bliss it confers can be earned. And one must ruminate over the meaning of the mantra and feel the emotions of exultation and supplication. Only then you will be able to derive delight. Recitation without understanding the meaning might grant a little superficial satisfaction, but the hymn with the pour from the heart only when the meaning is sensed. Here, one more point I would like to focus. Shabda Vyavahara. In the Shabda Shastra of Vyakarana, the Shabdas are described in 4 ways. Chatushthayi Shabdanam Pravritti. What is the Pravritti? Jati Pravritti Nimittaka Shabda Guna pravritti nimittika shabda, kriya nimittika shabdas, sankhya pravrittika nimittika shabdas. We are having 4 categories. Jati pravritti nimittika shabda. That means an object or a material is described by its origin or by birth. For example, a cow, ox, or a man, donkey, animal, like that. Identification by its birth or its by origin. This is jati pravritti. Next is guna pravritti nimittika shabda. By its race or attributes. Race means red color, white, black, long, short, fatty, like that. Guna pravritti. Next one is kriya nimittika shabdas. By nature of the work. One may be a pachaka who cooks, one may be a yachaka who impoverished or state of impoverishment. It's a kriya based on the nature of the work. Sankhya pravritti nimittika shabdas means one who identifies by name or indication. He is Hari, he is Rama, he is Krishna, he is Gopi, he is Devadatta, like that. It is ordered that Brahmanena nishkarano dharmaha Shadango Vedodhyeyo Gnayescha. Without asking the reason or cause, a Brahmin by birth should follow the dharma of Veda Ajayinam. No excuse whatsoever given to a Brahmin according to Jati Pravritti. Not only mere reading the Vedic verses, but also to perform the ritual keeping in view of the procedures enumerated in Shadangas. That is what called Brahmanena Nishkarano dharmaha Shadango Vedodhyeyo Gnayascha. He should learn, he should know the Shadangas. How Vedas give protection to mankind? Vedas in its part, Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka comes under the Aparavidya. They remove ailments which are uncomfortable to mankind and provides what is ought to useful to them. How the Vedas protect the mankind? Matru Pitru Sahasrebhyo Pihitaishi Vedaha. Vedas protect mankind with a love of 1,000 mothers and fathers, and more than that, as said in Kathopanishad. Ishta Prapti Arishta Pariharayo Alaukikan Upayan Yo Grandaha Vedayati Sa Vedaha. Ishtaprapti means whatever we like to have, education, health, family, wealth, etc. As we ask in Chamakam in Sri Rudra. Arishta Pariharayo, that means whatever is not required to be eliminated, enmity, untimely death, illness, debts, like that. Vedas are called as Shrutis, and even in our banner of Shrutishreni, we gave a caption, Shrutam me gopayam. Whatever is heard and recited is to be stored in memory permanently, not merely in buffer. The great sages who were the embodiments of their treasure, gained by long ascetic practices, received Veda as a series of sounds and spread it over the world by word of mouth from preceptor to the, what you call it as a disciple. Prachakshenanu mityava yastu payona vidyate. Yevam vindate vedena tasmat vedasya vedata. Those are not explained by evidence or by anumana or assumption or explained in Vedic texts. Hence the Vedas are ultimate. Vedas are also called as anushravam. Hearing the way of chanting and repeating the recitation or learning the verses, hence Vedas are called shravanam. And following the shravanam is anushravanam. Veda Parirakshana by ancient sages is a comment by some critics that certain portion in Puranas and Itihasas were modified in later years. It may not be true or maybe, but it does not happen in the case of Veda Shabda. In Veda Shabda, our letters have been safeguarded by ancient sages by counting the letters in each and every sukta and arranged various ways of preserving the verses without deleting nor adding new letters, swaras or words. In this way, we have a mula. Mula means mula patam. Veda mantram. Next, Samhita, pada patam, krama patam, jata patam, ghana patam. These are all usually found in the Yajurveda. And the Moolam, the Samhita part, with the pada, krama, jata, mala, shikha, rekha, dvaja, danda, ratha and ghana. These are all the varieties and kinds of preserving the Vedas and chanting the Vedas. It is found in Rig Veda. Here I would like to say one more thing. Who can foster and propagate the Vedas? Jat dharma is no more exist. Even though it is existing, hardly chances are there in fostering and propagating the Vedas. Swadhyaya pravachanecha. The persons who have supplemented their knowledge of the scriptural texts with the awareness of their validity acquired by practicing the lessons contained in them are not affected by praise or blame, whatever the source and quantity. Their hearts will stay pure, unaffected and calm. One can imbibe those Vedic lessons only to the extent of one's patience and intelligent skill. After mastering these texts and gaining experience in putting the lessons into actual practice, one can share the light and the joy with others. The text of Vedas insists on the value of actual practice and the need to confirm the truths by experiencing their impact. We should have one quality. Utsaha sahasam dhairyam buddhi shakti parakramaha shadete yatra tishtanti tatra deva sahaya kritam. The Shastras, which are texts supplementary to the Vedas, declare that God resides wherever 6 excellencies are evident. Utsaha sahasam dhairyam buddhi shakti parakramaha shadhete yatra tishtanti tatta deva sahaya kritam. Enthusiasm, utsaha, we should have the utsaha. We should conduct more programs in the banner of Sathya Sai Samhita Sudhishteni. We should conduct number of programs in the banner of Sathya Sai Veda Poshana. We should have enthusiasm, determination, sahasam, courage, dhairyam, good sense, sadbuddhi, strength, shakti, and adventure, parakrama. The inaugural prayer of man has to be directed to God, Ganapati, to gain these 6 gifts which can purify consciousness and reveal the Atma. One has to undertake the discovery of one's Atmic core with bravery in the heart. This is no exercise for cowards, wicked persons, waverers in faith and doubting hearts. One can propagate Vedas, should chant regularly by knowing the meaning and should extend the mantra by sharing to disciples or students. One should chant, just keep an underline of the word, what I am saying. One should chant 100 times of a single mantra. Each and every mantra has to be chanted for 100 times. Enjoy the bliss in chanting. Enjoy the meaning. Connect with the Lord. And then share. Swadhyaya pravachan. Swadhyaya means only just by repeating mantra for 10 to 11 times. And if I become perfect and I have to share to somebody? No, not like that. Not merely learning in morning class and repeating in the evening class as a teacher is strictly prohibited. One should understand the real rhythm of chanting the Vedic verse and only able to share it to disciples. He is Acharya. He put it in practice and propagates. Without that, mantra cannot reach with its real magnitude. Even in the rules and regulations of a teacher and a disciple are enumerated in Taitriya Upanishad. Taitriya Upanishad is having 3 divisions: Shiksha Valli, Bhrugavalli and Brahmananda Valli. And people, you are aware of all these things, I think. And I just want to quote 2 to 3 directions given in the Taitriya Upanishad. Vedam anucharyo ante vasina manushasti satyam vada dharmam chara swadhyayan ma pramadaha. Antevasi means students, the disciples. Anushasti means giving upadesha, a set of rules to be followed by the disciple after completion of the education. Swadhyayat, daily practice of verses. We usually daily we take coffee, tea, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Daily we used to have. In the same way, disciple, swadhyaya, daily practice of verses, reciting of verses should be done regularly. Ma pramadaha, don't deviate from a process of learning, studying or chanting of the verses. It is also said in the Taitriya Upanishad. Shraddhaya deyam Ashraddhaya adeyam means deyam means giving, donate. Donate with charity, donate with shraddha, charity with shraddha. Ashraddhaya adeyam, don't do with negligence. Shriyadeyam, as per your capacity. Priyadeyam, with humbleness. Bhiyadeyam, with respect. Samvidadeyam, in a shared manner. It is sauhardha. Here a saying goes, 1/5 of our earnings should be spent for charity. If a person earns, for example, 100 rupees, he can spend for himself or for his family or friends or to society 80 rupees. But remaining 20 rupees for charity. That is his real savings for the upcoming births, Swami says. Sealing on desires and save the earnings and spend for holistic activities. It is also said in Bhrigavalli that annam na nindyat tat vratam. Don't criticize the quality of food or its attributes. Annam bahukurvita. Production of food material should be adequate. Vedic verses provokes to distribute the food before you partake. Is it possible daily to offer food someone before we partake in this busy and mechanical life? In order to fulfill this, Swami directs us to take a fistful of raw rice or atta, whatever it may be, keep it away separately, and accumulated raw food grains is to be prepared either weekly or monthly and do Narayan Seva. Hence the Vedic verse is fulfilled in practice as per Swami's guidelines. And one more thing here I would like to say, Amnayam and Swadhyayam. Amnayam is a process of learning and Swadhyayam is chanting the verses with a total surrenderness while enjoying the sanctity and sacredness of the mantras by knowing its inner significance. Here, the time permits, I would like to go with Kriya Kanda, the rituals. Gnatva karmani kurvita, knowing the way and perform the ritual. The practical part of Abhyasa in a ritualistic manner yields good results. Mere chanting of mantras pertaining to Yajnam or Homam without offering of oblations in the Homam gives no result for getting timely rains and harvest. Hence, rituals are as important as chanting of mantras. Without mantra, ritual becomes futile. However, both are interdependent in one way or other. In Homagunda, we see, it is said that Lord Agni is having 7 tongues, Sapta Jihva. How we are unable to see the 7 tongues in a Homagunda, the fire, in the fire. While performing a Homa or Yajna, one should be more careful in observing the ritual. Merely pouring or dropping ghee drops in the fire, Agni, Homam is too dangerous without knowing its true sense. It is said that Agni is having 2 faces, north face and south face, like in our house. Hiranya Kanakarakta Krishna, there are the 4 tongues in south face, and Suprabha Atirakta Vahurupa are the 3 tongues in the north face. In east side of the Jihva, in east side of the Homagunda, in east side of the portion, one Jihva is there. In that Homagunda, one can do all kinds of homas and offer oblations to the Lord Agni. In the Agneya Jihva, that is called as Rakta, Abhicharaka homas is usually being done. In South Jihva, Krishna, Patrika homas for Pitru Devatas. In Paschima, the West Jihva, Hiranya Vaivahika homa. Marriages, homas usually done on the occasion of marriages, marriage rituals. And in the Uttara Jihva, north one, Rakta, that means Upanayana homas are to be made. In the Ishanya Jihva, Bahurupa, Shanti Karma homas are to be performed. In the middle, Kanaka, Jata Karma, the verily birth rituals are to be performed. While the pouring or dropping of ghee or samidhas are to be made during the course of yajna or homa is very well defined. If it is dropped too early before completion of the syllable Swaha, at the time of chanting Sa in Swaha, it should be done after completion of the chanting of the total syllable Swaha. If at the time of the chanting of a syllable Sa in Swaha, it affects the spouse of the Yajamana. And for money, while chanting Va, dropping of the ghee, pouring of the ghee or any samidhas in the Homagunda, without completion of the word syllable Swaha, at the time of Va, if I have dropped, it affects to the money, badly affects to the money. It's not good for brothers of the Yajamana while chanting the syllable Ha, Sa, Va, Ha. It should be done after saying Swaha. One should remain careful. Like that, we have a number of rituals to be performed with good knowledge and practice. Same thing holds good even in chanting of verses, intonations. For secured meaning and fulfillment, we should be more cautious in chanting and also in performing the rituals. I think I will take 10 more minutes if my brother Gotu Subramanyam permits me. I just want to say one more. If I want to continue like this, I will go through for hours to hour, but I just want to restrict myself to this extent. I just want 10 more minutes. Here I would like to say about the chanting and the rituals. Swami advises to chant Sri Rudram by each and every person, in every home, village, city and in entire world. Keeping his divine direction in Prashant Nilayam, we find chanting of Sri Rudram daily, morning and evening, twice a day. Why Swami has given more importance to Sri Rudram? It is said that Rudradhyayi vased yatra grameva nagare picha na tatra kshutpipashadhya durbhiksha vadhayo picha. Whatever a person or a group chants the Sri Rudram in true sense with a bhava and connecting to the Lord Sri Rudra, the place where he or she or a group chants, the impact of the vibration removes all evil qualities. Find no scarcity of food and water, no ailment whatsoever arises, because Rudra is the remover of Rodana, our sadness. Rudra means not an embodiment of seriousness nor anguishness. It is the embodiment of Mangalaswarupa, sacredness. Samkaroti iti Shankaraha. He is the bestower of Shubham, good and sacredness. Good and sacredness. It is also said that Yaha Shatarudra Madhiyo Sogniputo Bhavati, Surapanat Puto Bhavati, Brahmahatyat Puto Bhavati, Kritakruchyat Puto Sarvada Sakritva Japet, Anena Gnanamapnoti Samsarar Navatarakam. As mentioned in Kaivalya Upanishad. One who chants Sri Rudram becomes pure as gold becomes pure by application of fire. One becomes free from sins acquired by committing those material which are prohibited to consume or partake. And one who chants Sri Rudram becomes pure and chastity from all ills and sins he committed by knowingly or unknowingly. It is also said that Sarveshu Grahadosheshu Dushopnadbhuta Darshane Japan Rudran Sakrud Vipraha Sarvadoshai Pramuchyate. For all planetary disorders in one's own life, appearing untoward dreams in our sleep, astronomical and astrological disorders, one remedy is suggested is chanting of Sri Rudram. According to Linga Purana, I think I am right. According to Linga Purana, it is said that Rogavan Papavan Yastu Rudram Jiptva Jitendriya Rogat Papat Pramuktosha Vatulam Shukamasnute. By mere chanting of or performing Abhishekam to Lord Shiva, the physical and mental ailments will vanish and the sufferer becomes healthier and freed from all untowardness. Rahasya Krutana Mahapatakanam Shatarudriyam Prayashchittam. For knowingly or unknowingly committed sins, Sri Rudram is the atonement. All sins will be vanished just by chanting the Rudram in connection, by connecting ourselves to the Lord Ishvara with sincerity and dedication. Even just by meditating on Lord, all the desires be fulfilled. if it is truly connected with our sincere prayers. Dhyayet ipsita siddhaye. No need even for chanting or performing abhishekam. Connectivity with the Lord with sincerity is the matter, where one has to focus. Chanting number of times without focus gives no result. Performing rituals without connecting to Lord and performing and observing as a mere kriyas gives no result. Chitta Shuddhi is important. Feeling is important. Yad bhavam tad bhavati. Lord Rudra is all pervasive in different forms and he protects us. We use it to say Nyasam. Purve Pashubhadhe Padu Dakshine Padu Shankaraha Paschime Padu Vishvesho Neelakantastadhottare Ishanyam Patu Me Sharvo Yagneyam Parvati Patahi Nairutyam Patu Me Rudro Vayuvyam Neelalohitam Urdhve Trilochana Patu Adharaya Maheshwaraha Etabhyo Dasa Dighastu Sarvada Padu Shankaram. God is in the form of Rudra. He is all pervasive. Swami declares, God is in you, before you, around you, above you, below you, as explained. He is protecting us all the way. That is said in the Sri Rudra. He is pervasive, all pervasive. And at last, I like to conclude that even in rituals, the bhavana and connectivity is more important. If at all a stone is placed before you, and if you consider the stone as a Sivalinga, the form of Shiva, however he is Nirgunam, Niranjanam, Sanatanam, Niketanam, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Nirmala Swarupinam, a form is being placed. We pray him, He Swamin, Sarva Jagannatha, Yavat Puja Vasanakam, Tavattam Priti Bhavena, Lingesmin Sannidhin Kuru. That means praying Lord to appear, come and residing in the form of the presiding deity in the stone where we placed before us with moda, means love. Until completion of the puja and offering, whatever the dhyana, chanting or performing ritual, it should be done in a wholehearted samarpana manner, by having a feeling that doer and the acceptor are verily the divine. Even we have to cultivate a step of noble qualities. What Swami says, if you chant a sloka, Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Shishivarnam Chadurbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyaye Sarva Vignopashantaye. We usually use it to chant the sloka every time and every day. Here I would like to focus a single syllable in this sloka. The attribute of Ganapati is Prasannavadanam. Smiling and pleasant face. He never looks arrogant. He never seems to be having a castrol face. We should also acquire a quality of Lord Ganesha, keeping our face cool, pleasant, smiling. Can't we? Mere chanting and chanting is okay, but we have to imbibe the quality of Lord as explained in the above verses. At last, it is customary in my talk with an offering of mantra in Ganapata. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Hayurdha Agne Agna Hayurdha Ayurdha Agne Havisho Havisho Agne Ayurdha Agne Havishaha Ayurdha Yatyayudah Agne Havisho Havisho Agne Havisho Jushano Havisho Agne Havisho Jushanaha Havisho Jushano Havisho Jushano Ghृta Pratiko Jushano Havisho Jushano Ghृta Pratikaha Jushano Ghृta Pratiko Jushano Ghृta Pratiko Ghृta Pratiko Jushnado Jushano Ghृta Pratiko Ghृtayonihi. In this way, a Ganapatam goes on in praising the Lord Agni. Ghृta Pratiko Ghृtayoni Pratiko Ghृta Pratiko Ghृtayoni Redhye Ghृtayoni Ghृta Pratiko Ghृtayoni Redhi Ghृta Pratika Yedhe Ghृta Pratikaha Ghृtayoni Redhyoti Ghृtayoni Ryodhyeti Ghृtayoni Redhi घृतयो निरेति हेधेत्येति घृतं पेत्वा पेत्वा घृतं घृतं पेत्वा मधु पेत्वा घृतं पेत्वा मधु पेत्वा मधु पेत्वा पेत्वा मधुचारु मधु पेत्वा पेत्वा मधुचारु गव्यं चारु मधुचारु गव्यं चारु गव्यं चारु गव्यं पिता गव्यं चारु गव्यं पिता पिता गव्यं पितेनेव पिता गव्यं पितेनेव पिता पितेव पुत्रमिव पिता पितेव पुत्रम् इव पुत्रमिवेव पुत्रमभ्यभिपुत्रमिवेव पुत्रमभ्यभिपुत्रमभिरक्षता द्रक्षतादभिपुत्रं पुत्रमभिरक्षताम् अभिरक्षता द्रक्षता अभिरक्षता दिममिमगुं रक्षताद्यभ्यभिरक्षता दिमम् रक्षतादमिमगुं रक्षता द्रक्षता दिमम् इममितीमम्. At last, I would like to conclude my talk by expressing my deepest and heartfelt gratitude to my master, Bhagawan Shri Sathya Sai Baba, for enabling me to give this talk and giving me such an opportunity. As said by Potana, a Telugu poet, during his composition of Bhagavatam, he said, Palikedidi Bhagavatamata, Palikincheduvadu Ramabhadrundata. నే పలికిన భవహర మొగునట పలికెదే వేరుండు గాథ పలుకగనేలా. The immense grace of Swami enabled me to speak a few words on this Veda Dharma and its significance. Moreover, I would like to thank one and all for giving a patient hearing to my talk. Jai Sai Ram.
Om Sri Sai Ram. At the very outset, we are extremely thankful to you, Dr. Sri Hari Prasad Verma, for generously sharing your life's earnings at the lotus feet of Bhagavan in such a lucid and wonderful manner. Sir, you have started on the note that Vedas are verily divine. Shruti, Anadi, Nitya, Apaurisheya and whatnot, and emphasized where science ends, there begins spirituality. Veda Poshana is for our benefit. You reiterated this fact by relating to us that following traffic rules is only for our safety and security. So too, being a part of the Veda Poshana activity is going to help us to get a secured and safe life. You referred to Mandukya Upanishad, Isabhasha Upanishad, Taitriya Upanishad, etc. in driving home the message and the hidden meaning behind para and apara vidya, the material and the spiritual knowledge. Here, you have correctly emphasized that it is our natural duty to pay rent to the parents just as we pay rent to the owners of the flat. You related and explained that the royal road for Amritatva is very neatly explained in the mantra from Taitriya Upanishad, na karmana, na prajaya, and you elaborated it and you explained it very nicely that how great values and virtues are hidden in these mantras. You reminded us on the importance of chanting Rudram. Here, you explain the benefits of chanting even without knowing the meaning by giving the examples of how the fragrance of Sanjeevani roots and the smell from it awakened the fainted Lord Lakshmana. And you also neatly related and explained to us how a doctor needs to know the importance of medicines, whereas the patient, even without knowing its combinations and molecules, will still get cured if he takes the medicine, just by the belief in the doctor. You also related here the relationship between the musician and music and listener. While you have said it is very useful to chant mantras even without knowing the meaning, you have rightly emphasized and recommended each one of us to know the meaning of at least one mantra among the various which we chant. If one gets to learn the meaning, one will benefit much more. To drive home this point, you have elaborated it by relating it to the story of two Maharshis, Drumeda and Parikshepa, in their efforts to ignite fire. Thereby, you brought home the point on the importance of feeling, visualizing, and becoming one with the bhava hidden in the meaning hidden in the mantra. Thereby, you can derive its full benefits. You explained to us on how mantra chanting with bhava purifies and unifies heart, head, and hand. You also explained the poetic beauty in the Vedas and the importance of upamana alankara, which goes a big way in helping us to get a feel on the efficacy, greatness of mantras by relating it to something which we already hold very, very valuable in our hearts. Veda, Shruti, and Shabda Brahma, they have 4 different kinds of identification. This is what you have emphasized by Jati, Kriya, Guna, and Sathya, whereby you have instilled the importance of not moving away from our fundamental dharma with which we are born. You emphasize the importance of Swadhyaya. Here, you have rightly said the 6 different kinds of energies in the form of enthusiasm, focus, determination, dedication, courage, and valor. Whoever moves forward with this, definitely divine energy is with him and success is definitely with him. You also explained to us on the significance of following the rules and correctly doing rituals like Homa. You concluded by the divine message on the importance of Kriya Kanda and regular chanting of mantras like Ruddam by relating it to rhythmic breathing, purification process, dosha nivarana way, removal of disease and sins, so on, so forth. And you gloriously ended with a Ganapatam in the praise of Lord Agni to rekindle or to fan the hidden fire covered with ashes in all of us. Thank you very much for generously sharing such a wonderful Vedic wisdom with all of us, which you have been blessed with by Bhagavan while you were at his service. We pray to Bhagavan to bless you and your family with immense grace, love, and energy to carry forward his mission and to serve him forever. Thank you very much. Jai Sai Ram.
Om Jai Jagadish Hare Swami Sathya Sai Hare Bhakta Jana Samrakshak Bhakta Jana Samrakshak Pati Maheshwara Om Jai Jagadish Hare Shashivadana Shrikara Sarva Pranapati Swami Sarva Pranapati Ashrita Kalpalatika Ashrita Kalpalatika Avatandhava Om Jai Jagadish Hare Mata Pita Guru Daivamu Mariyantayu Nive Swami Mariyantayu Nive Nada Brahma Jagannatha Nada Brahma Jagannatha Nagena Shayana Om Jai Jagadish नारायण नारायण ॐ जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ॐ सत्य नारायण 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 ॐ नारायण नारायण ॐ सत्य नारायण नारायण ॐ सत्य नारायण नारायण जय सद्गुरुदेवा शांति 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 समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु शांति 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 जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई